Hi friends, I'm Amy and this is A-Star Reads, and it's time for an announcement, a very exciting announcement, because I guess spring is almost here, which I find it hard to believe. Here in Washington at least, because we just finally started getting snow today. So I don't know, we'll see. But apparently spring is on the horizon, and in the month of March, we are going to spring into reading with the Spring-Into-Reading-Athon. And this is a seasonal readathon that Melanie from Completely Melanie created a long time ago. And she has been doing it every season ever since she first created it. And at this point, she invites 2 different booktubers to come on her channel and help her co-host it. So in spring, I happen to be one of those co-hosts, and the other co-host is my wonderful friend Amanda from the Reading and Writing Life. So I'm very excited because we have a great team up here with Mel, Amanda, and me. I think we're gonna have an amazing time in March picking books that give us spring vibes based off of our bingo board that we created. Well, Melanie created a long time ago. We have done quite a few updates this month, so I'm really excited to see where we get with these different prompts. So just for clarity, the readathon starts on March 1st and ends on March 31st. And we will have some reading sprints throughout the month, and we will also have a live show with the author of the book that is our group book for the month, and we will have an after hours fun show where we get to chat and have a good time. We also have a Discord where you can go and ask for suggestions for books to help fulfill different prompts, where you can post pictures of your TBR, where you can just tell us how your reading is going in the month of March. And that information, as well as an informational guide to this whole readathon, will be linked in my description box down below. We also want to make sure that you tag us in anything that you create on any of your social media outlets like TBR videos, vlogs, Instagram posts, what have you, by using the hashtag Spring-Into-Reading-2025. So make sure you use that hashtag so we can actually go and watch your vlogs and watch your TBRs and see what everybody's getting up to in the month of March. So to give you an idea of what this readathon is going to look like within the month of March, I want to give you our schedule. And first, let's talk about reading sprints. So on the first of the month at 2 p.m. Eastern, there's going to be reading sprints on Completely Melanie's channel, and this will be to kick off the whole readathon so we can get started on a high note. And then on my channel, on the 7th at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I will be having reading sprints so we can, finish out the first week strongly. Then on the 8th, the very next day, Amanda from the Reading and Writing Life will have sprints on her channel at 7 p.m. Central Time. We are all in different time zones. It's important that you subscribe to all of our channels so that when we set up those sprints, you'll see what the actual time is within your own time zone. So of course, I'll be linking Melanie and Amanda's channels as well as their announcement videos in the description box down below. Then we jump all the way to the 21st, and at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I will be having reading sprints on my channel. And on the 29th, very close to the end of the month, Amanda again will be doing reading sprints on her channel at 7 p.m. Central Time. So we have quite a few sprints. I'm sure that some of us will want to do pop-up sprints here and there. Like I said, make sure you subscribe to us so you don't miss out on any sprints that might end up happening. As far as the 2 major events within the Spring-Into-Reading-Athon, first we have our author chat. And this year we have a wonderful mystery thriller author joining us, which is very cool because I haven't at least read a group book for Seasonathon that has been a mystery thriller. So this is something to me that seems very different. And our author is going to be Seraphina Glass, and the book we're reading together is On a Quiet Street, which sounds like a very interesting psychological sort of thriller. We have this woman named Cora who she thinks her husband is cheating on her, so she enlists the help of someone local who is desperate for any kind of work that she can get. And she's also working through some very serious grieving, and so she offers to help Cora. And then I guess there's another neighbor who's acting kind of strangely named Georgia. I have no clue how this all ties together, but it'll be interesting to find out and then be able to talk to Seraphina Glass at the end of this and pick her brain, get an idea of what it's like to write a mystery thriller and how she gets her ideas. Read the group book and join us so we can talk to this author and ask her all the questions we would like to ask. The author chat is going to be on Saturday, March 22nd at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, which is also 2 p.m. Central Time, and noon in my coast on the Pacific Standard Time. And then later on that same day, Saturday the 22nd at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, and 5 p.m. my time, join us for the After Hours live show over on Melanie's channel. We usually get a theme and we pick a specific type of food to eat together. I won't be able to drink because of my stomach, but bring some drinks so we can chat and have a good time and just reminisce about the month and talk about books and just have a good time together. So I think that is all the most pressing information that you need to know for this particular readathon. And of course, now you're probably wondering, well, what are we actually doing for the readathon? What are we reading? Give me an idea of what this is all about, Amy. And I want to go through this bingo board with you so that we can talk about the different prompts, and I might be able to give a suggestion here and there as I go through this list. Okay, so we're going to start from the very top and move from left to right. And our very first prompt is spring cleaning. And this is to read a book that has been collecting dust on your TBR. So one of the books that I need to currently read is on my TBR is Stardock, because I've had this one on my shelf for years, many years, and I'm hoping to get to this. So if I don't get to it in February, I can save this for March, and it'll be a great book to fulfill that particular prompt. The next prompt is New Beginnings, and this one's a pretty easy prompt. It's just to read the first book in a series, which is hard for some of us who already have a ton of series ongoing, but you know, this is a good time to pick up a new one. The third prompt is the wet t-shirt contest, and this has always been a really fun one on here, and that is to read a smutty book. So pick a book that has whatever level of smut you would consider smutty when it comes to a book, and definitely enjoy that in the month of March. The fourth prompt is road trip, and this one makes sense because you're going to be listening to an audiobook. And what is one of the things all of us book lovers love to do when we go on long trips? I would imagine that is listening to an audiobook. So this is one that will give you a chance to do other things while you're also listening to one of your stories. The final prompt in this line is to let it shine. So we're thinking about the sun eventually coming out to play. And this is to read a cozy book or a book that you think will make you happy. All right, so moving down to the next row. The first prompt is a brand new prompt. I'm very excited about this one. And this is the Holi Festival of Colors, which happens in the month of March. This is a festival that is celebrated in India and on some college campuses here in the US, because it definitely was celebrated at my college. So for this one, because it's the Festival of Colors, you can either read a book that has many colors on the cover. So it needs to be a very colorful book, or you can read a book that was written by an author from India. So for example, a book that I really want to read, which I consider a very colorful book, is Erotic Stories for Punjabi Women by Bali Kaur Jaswal. And this is on my 45 before 45, so I'm kind of hoping that this is the book that I end up reading for the readathon. Next is spring fashion. So for this one, you're gonna need to read a book that has a beautiful cover because, you know, showing off that fashion in spring, beautiful new outfits represented by the beautiful cover on a book. The next prompt is one we like to celebrate on every single bingo board for Seasonathon, and that is Rewind. And this is to read a previous Seasonathon group book or read from a previous Seasonathon author, like one of the authors that authored those group books. So for example, if you've already read the group book by TJ Klune, you could pick another TJ Klune book. Or we also had Julie Kagawa. Maybe you need to read the next book in this series, which is what I need to do. And that could be true for Kristen Long. We read the first book in her series. I don't know if her second book has come out yet, but if it has, that would be a great option for reading another book by that author. April Showers is a prompt that is kind of the opposite of our Let It Shine prompt, and that is to read a book that will make you sad. So I certainly have plenty of these on my TBR at all times that bring a lot of emotions and make you cry. And Robin Hobb is a great example for me. That's a series where, especially the further along you get into it, you're likely gonna end up a little teary-eyed. The last prompt within this row is Luck of the Irish, and this is to read a book that has green on the cover. And I would say predominantly green, but obviously it's up to you how you would like to fulfill that prompt because it is a book with green on the cover. For our middle row, we're gonna start out with self-care, and I feel like this one's pretty self-explanatory. Take a day for yourself and just take care of yourself. Take a nice long bath, go and get a pedicure, take time to read without interruptions. Try and do some different things that for you make you feel like this is my day and I'm taking really good care of myself. Because we all need to make sure we take care of ourselves, and it is also very helpful to the people around us. Next we have New Life, and of course this represents all the spring lambs and those chicks and the cute little babies, baby cows that we get to see coming into the world this time of the year during the springtime. And for this you need to read a middle grade book or a children's book. Either of those will work for this one as long as you're representing the littles. And in the very middle, that is our group book prompt. You can read the group book and then fill that out and you can go any direction you want from it. So as a reminder, our group book is On a Quiet Street by Seraphina Novaglass. Then we're going to spring forward, and to do this, you need to read the next book in a series. So you could combine this with New Beginnings and read the first book in a series with that one, and then maybe read the duology, the second book in a series with Spring Forward. And there you've finished a series. That way you don't have to add another series onto your very, very long list of series that you're currently in the middle of. I'm talking about myself here. So that might be a good idea. Finally, in the middle row, we have Love is in the Air, very romantic. And for this one, you read a romance book or a book centered around friendship. It doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic book. It could be a book that talks about love when it comes to friendship. Coming down to our fourth row, we have Over the Rainbow. I really like this prompt because I just think it's clever. And this one is to read a classic or a retelling. And of course, this is based off the famous song from Wizard of Oz, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. So for that one, you'd pick a classic book because that is definitely a classic movie, or you can pick a retelling, which will be a modernized version of a classic book. Then we've got Spring Break, and for this, because when you think of spring break, you think of people going down to Cancun and having a really good time and drinking a lot of alcohol and just having a blast listening to music and dancing. You're gonna read a YA book or a new adult book, basically the age that people are at when they tend to enjoy spring break the most. For Refresher TBR, this is to treat yourself. This is another way of treating yourself. Get yourself a brand new book. So you could decide that you're going to buy yourself a brand new book, or you could go to the library and find something random that you weren't planning on reading and pick that up. You could borrow a book from a friend. You could download an ebook or audiobook. This is refreshing your TBR because it's a book that you didn't necessarily plan on picking up. You're getting a new book in some aspect and you're putting it on your TBR when that wasn't what you originally expected. We have another brand new prompt. Very excited about this, Aquamarine, because that is the gemstone for the month of March. And this one is to read a book with water on the cover because of the color of this particular gemstone and aqua being a water word. So for example, this book, Water Moon, has not only the word water on it, there's probably a shade on here that's sort of aquamarine. You don't have to use the color, it's just the water on the cover, but I think it might be fun to try and, really make it aquamarine-ish if you can. Then our final prompt on that particular line is Women's March, and this is to read a book with a strong female protagonist. So you could choose to read Loveless by Alice Oseman because our main character is struggling a lot with her identity, but I imagine through this book she becomes empowered to be who she is, and that is a huge strength, and she is our main character. So I think that a book like this would be perfect for strong female protagonist. Or you could choose to read the Fantasy Foundry side, which is what I'm currently reading, because Sanchia, our main character, is a very strong female protagonist. She's a fun character to read from. So these are different examples of strong female protagonists. Doesn't necessarily have to mean strong, could also mean emotionally, mentally, how they are dealing with different situations within their life, that kind of strong. Coming down to our final row, we have another brand new prompt on the board, and this is cherry blossoms, because if you think about different parts of the world, especially Japan within March, one of the most important things there is the blooming of the cherry blossoms, and it's a big spectacle. It's supposed to be absolutely gorgeous. And so for this one, you should read a book by a Japanese or Japanese American author, and the example I'm going with is gonna also work for my rewind because I need to read the next book in the Shadow of the Fox series by Julie Kagawa. So Julie Kagawa would be a great example of a Japanese American author that I could read from for this prompt. Next, we have our star sign Aries, and for this one, we changed it up a little bit this time around. We're gonna have you read a book with fire on the cover because Aries is a fire sign. Then we have Tiptoe Through the Tulips, and if you're like me, we live in an area where they do grow tulips, and so maybe I will actually go tiptoe through some tulips at some point in March or April. And for this one, you're going to be reading a book that has flowers on the cover. Next, we have another new theme. We have 4 brand new themes this time around, which is fun. And this one is March Madness, because we're celebrating what happens in March with college basketball. And for this one, you need to read a book that has a sport in it. So maybe read a sports romance, or maybe read something nonfiction about your favorite sports player. Or if you wanted to go along the horror route, you could read something like The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones, which has a heavy emphasis on basketball. So there are a lot of different options. Just make sure that it has some kind of sport in the story. Our last and final prompt is a tried and true. This is Tiny Umbrellas, and it's a non-bookish prompt, and this is to read one of your favorite iced beverages within the month of March. And I've got to figure out what I'm going to do for this one because I can't drink old fashions right now, so that's my favorite iced beverage, but I'll figure something out and I'll make it work. These are our prompts. There are many different ways you can make a bingo. You can do diagonal, you can do a cross, you can do the 4 corners, you could do a row, you could do a column. There's so many options. You could do a blackout if you wanted to try to do that. And don't forget, you are allowed to double up, triple up, do whatever you need to do with books in order to get those bingos. So if you want to try and get a bingo with the fewest number of books you could possibly read, let's see if you can do it. Go ahead and try. The most important thing here is to celebrate the season of spring and have a good time with a whole bunch of people while we read our books. Of course, if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, make sure that you check out Melanie's and Amanda's announcement videos because I'm sure that they will cover things that I completely forgot to cover in this video. Look in the description boxes for the resources and the Discord link, and let me know in the comment section down below, are you joining? And if you are, do you have any idea of which prompts you're most excited to fulfill? Any books that are maybe kind of spring-ish that you are hoping to read? I hope that you are going to join us, and if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe so you can see what happens in the month of March when we spring into the spring and reading. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you later.